guess we'll just start by thanking you for agreeing to do the show. Actually, the second guy that's actually asked to do the show, which is kind of amazing because it's like, okay, I don't have to go hunting people out. I don't have to go twist arms. I don't have to go wait in Tyler Duncan's DMs, who never answers back to his DMs at anything. Still looking for you, Tyler Duncan, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it, right? Because I was obviously like doing my podcast last year, right? And so, anything that now that I'm on the other side of things, I know that it's not the easiest thing in the world, and it's not the easiest thing to get people schedule and to make sure the schedules line up and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So, anything I can do to help out.
No, exactly. So So are you guys going to do the podcast this year, or is Andrew going to fly solo? What's going on there?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It's I'm not going to be able to do it. I just don't have the time to be able to commit to it on a full-time basis. Like last year was nice because I wasn't playing, so I had all of that free time. And also, the school that we went to had a studio where we could do the recordings professionally, and so it was easy, right? It was after class, we'll just go, we'll hop into the studio for an hour. It's 3:00 anyway. I'm gonna have to sit in Toronto traffic no matter what, so I might as well, kill some time here. So that's kind of why it was kind of just the perfect storm last year.
No, exactly.
I consider my injury a bit of a blessing. So.
Exactly. No, it was always great to listen to it. It was like I was looking forward to the episodes. I would listen to mine, or if I was going to Hamilton or on the way to London, wherever I was going last year. And it's like, okay, cool. You guys have got some insight and everything else. Now, were you finding it hard to draw the line as far as, okay, if a guy's told you something, do you mention it on air, or did you have anything you're kind of just like, okay, I'm not going to touch that one, or... I know I find that with sometimes when I'm just doing even stuff writing for the blog and everything else. Like I have insider information, but at the same time, I don't want to wreck that reputation by blurting out so-and-so, whatever.
Yeah, no, it's funny you bring that up. So me and Jason McKay talked a lot last year. Like we spoke almost on a weekly basis.
Yep.
Again, right, like I was in Welland the year before. Me and him have a really good relationship.
Yep.
And so... I knew pretty much everything that Welland was going to do before any of the players on Welland or really anyone else knew it was going to happen. And so I was like, okay, like what's safe for me to say? What's safe for me to hint at? What should I just completely stay away from?
Oh, exactly.
So, like, there was a little bit of that. I will say if it was more of a professional setting and if I was a actual like real life reporter, I would have broke every single one of those stories.
Yeah. I hate doing it just because I know some things. I was like, okay, somebody would tell me, okay, I wait till the league actually releases something or the team releases something because I got people always say, hey, by the way, we're signing this person. I'm like, okay, should I post this or do I wait till you guys do it? And I just got rule of thumb. I wait till the teams does it because I don't just a respect thing more than anything.
Well, that and also like I've been around the league long enough to know that just because you say you're signing somebody doesn't mean you're actually
exactly. It's like, oh yeah, so how's that signing going? Yeah, we had a couple of those last year in a couple of places. It was just like not naming names or anything, but
Yeah, no, and that happened to us in Hamilton all the time when I was there. It was like, hey, we're gonna go get this guy, and then I'm calling our GM every 5 minutes, like, hey, have we signed him? Oh, well, maybe soon, and then it just never happens. So,
exactly.
Especially imports.
Imports are just, I don't know, they're a whole different kettle of fish. There's so many working pieces if they need a visa, whatever else. And it's like, or something, you're going to sign this guy. And then all of a sudden he gets an offer from the Frontier League literally half an hour later after you've already put the paperwork in. So now he's eating up the roster spot.
No, exactly. Like I knew that Carlos Martinez was going to Welland like 3 days before they announced it.
Yep.
And before anyone else really knew about it. But I didn't I hinted at it on Twitter, and
I think I saw that and I was like, I know who they're getting, but I'm not going to say anything. I waited till I just waited because it was like, okay, yeah, till I actually see it happen. I'm not going to bother touching this one.
Yeah, me and the Welland social media guy. I don't know if it was Ryan that was doing it at the time, but we were having a little fun with each other on that one. So.
Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of fun. And those are the kind of interactions you gotta have fun with too, just as far as that stuff goes. Well, Brian and I aren't the closest of pals or anything, but I do respect the job he does.
Yeah, I mean they obviously do a great job in Welland with that organization. They've built up a winner, and they've built up a sustainable product when it comes to fan interaction and things like that. Yep. It's a very different model, and it's worked. So good for them.
All right, let's just switch hats here for a second. Well, let's take you back to your playing days in Hamilton and everything else, of course. And then when Justin Gideon got his release and went to Welland, you jumped ship as well. What was the mood when that happened? Like, it's just as far as like what was going through your mindset as far as when that happened? Just like the wheels coming apart in Hamilton there, or is it just kind of I needed to change as well?
So, okay, I'm gonna go through basically the entire story of how this happened.
Yep.
And so I feel like I'm far enough removed from it now where I
Yep.
can like comfortably say it without making anybody truly mad.
Yeah.
But basically, what happened was that start of that season in Hamilton didn't really go the way we wanted it to.
Yep.
Me and Justin, we had been there in 2019, and we were building something really special.
You guys were.
In Hamilton.
You were.
And we had a really good core, we had a really good team, and then COVID happened, kind of screwed everything up. And then we came back from COVID in 2021. We did the thing that all of the lower end teams in the league do because they have to, which is they get college guys because they're building for the future.
Yep.
And obviously those college guys aren't going to be around in the playoffs, so we knew, like, we were kind of around 500, a little bit over 500, and then all of our college guys left. And then I don't know how many, I think we might have won 2 games the rest of the year.
Yep.
And so kind of fell off a cliff there. And then going into the offseason, me and Justin kind of talked to ownership and we talked to management. We're like, hey, we need to change courses to like how we're going about this. Like, this needs to get better.
Yep.
And from everything, right? Like from the hats, the uniforms, the game day experience, like we just felt like there was a lot of room for improvement.
Yep.
And they were super welcoming with that feedback in the off season, and it seemed like things were going to get better. And then at the start of the season, everything kind of fell apart. Uniforms didn't work out, hats didn't work out, helmets, game day, all the game day experiences, pretty much everything we talked about kind of fell through. And so me and Justin were kind of on edge at that point. And then we had conversations and things like that, and I was already thinking about, whether I was going to ask for a trade or what I was going to do at the deadline. But the one thing that was keeping me there was my loyalty to Dean Castelli, because Dean had been my coach since I started in the IBL, and me and him are still good pals, and we talk all the time, and I just felt a lot of loyalty to him.
Yep.
And then he got fired, and when he got fired, I had a massive problem with that decision because Dean wasn't the problem. The problem was that our team simply wasn't good enough. And so I felt like he was kind of being the scapegoat, and I simply didn't respect that. And I wasn't going to play for a group that made that kind of a decision. I couldn't do it.
Yep.
And again, right, I knew, like, I was at the point in my career, and I still am now, where the only thing that matters to me is winning. That's all I want to do, is I just want to win.
Yep.
And so I had buddies in Welland, like I'm really good friends with Chris Bellato that's over there. Me and him are best friends. And so I was talking to him, and I was like, hey, if I ask for my release, is McKay going to sign me? And within 5 minutes, he was like, yes. Mm-hmm. So I went to our general manager at the time, and I said, hey, this is the situation. This is where I'm at. I'm not happy. I want out.
Yep.
Now, that's a much more cordial way of how it went. Because
exactly. We don't need to go into the middle of that whole ugly stuff, because I heard stuff from, like, even when I was with Guelphy, and it was just like, this is like all breaking down and I don't know. I was getting messages from places, and I was like, what the heck is going on over there? And just like, I just tried to stay out of it and everything else, but I was like going at the same time. I was like going, Chris Lazar is leaving Hamilton. Perfect. I'll help him pack so he doesn't have to face Guelph in the playoffs.
It was just, honestly, and like, it wasn't anything personal either. Like that whole conversation and all that stuff, it wasn't personal. It was personal for me because of the Dean situation.
Yeah.
But that's as far as it went. Like, the conversation was professional. It was just passionate people having a passionate discussion. Yeah. And then once I left, that's when all the dominoes kind of fell from there. Ben Braun, who was a big part of our rotation, he wasn't happy either. And then when I left, he decided to go to Guelph. And then Gideon, I had spent the next 3 weeks recruiting Gideon to come to Welland, and then eventually, because Gideon's also a very loyal guy, right? So he didn't really want to be the guy to make that decision, but he understood that the writing was on the wall. I actually still remember we played Hamilton probably a couple weeks after that in Welland. Yeah,
and I think you got the win, didn't you? I think you pitched 4 innings or something. Or was that later?
No, that was in Hamilton.
Yeah, that was July 17th. Then,
yeah, I didn't throw. It's funny, actually. I went to Welland. I never pitched at home, but which was disappointing. But we had a game in Welland, and it was a couple weeks before the deadline. Yeah. And our message in the room was, hey, we need to beat the crap out of this team right now and show Justin essentially how good we are and basically give him no choice. And I think we ended up winning that game something like 19-4 or something.
Yeah, I think I remember those tilted floor. Yeah.
And so that was kind of our messaging in the room at the time, was like, hey, like, we need to show this guy that, like, this team has a chance to win a championship.
Oh,
exactly. And so it worked, and we got him there, and we had a great time the rest of the season. Came up short, but what can you do?
Oh, exactly. The Jackfish just seem to have turned that page as far as, they've gone from a contender to now a legit force as far as stuff goes, and now it was interesting to see you pick the Barrie Baycats, after you rode them all last year as being the average Joes of the league, but now you're going the above average Baycats as you're repping the hat out once again.
Yeah, it was, no, it's funny. So, okay, there's a misconception, and I need to address this because I addressed it on the podcast. But there's a misconception that I called them average all year. Yeah. I didn't call them average all year. I called them average when they were 5-5 with a 0 run differential.
Well, of course, they
doesn't get more average than that.
And they had also started their season, like, I think they were 1-4 or something at home. They started their season at home, and it was like 1-4 at home. Like, they lost to Hamilton, they lost to Guelph. They lost to teams that, they should have been beating early on, and they just weren't for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, like, it wasn't an indictment necessarily on the roster and the team. It was more of an indictment on their play. Yeah. And, like, the team was playing like an average team. Yeah. And then they won 8 in a row. And then when they won 8 in a row, I stopped calling them average.
Yep, that's you did. You got served that average humble pie every time anybody brought it up. The Barrie Baycats.
Every single time. Listen, that was kind of like... But the thing is, like, that's when I knew that I was like, okay, what I'm doing here is working, and it's good, because, like, as as a reporter, as someone who's, like, reporting on things, like, if people are talking about what you're saying, good, bad, or indifferent, it means you're doing a good job. Yeah. So, like, I knew going into the podcast, I knew I was going to piss somebody off. Yeah. I knew I was probably going to piss everybody off.
I just kept waiting for my name going, okay, please don't mention me. Please don't mention me. Or if I did something all right, then I don't know. I thought Dina was going to crucify me after that chair thing on Instagram. But that's okay.
Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. Though. Yeah, that was really good. That was like my favorite meme of the year. Yeah. But So it was just one of those things where like, it was, again, and I talked to Matt Lowe about this last year, and he said that. Yeah, like, it made us really mad, like, when you did that, and it kind of lit a fire under us. Yeah. And Matt Lowe said, like, the reason that he was so mad about it was because he knew deep down that I was right about how they were playing. Yeah. And he knew that they could be better than that. And I was kind of with the same opinion. Granted, I didn't think they would be as good as they were as quickly as they were. I still thought the team was a couple years away. Yeah. Which is why, like, if you happen to watch my my Baycats banter interview with Sam, I said that last year. If you asked me this time last year if I was going to be playing for Barrie, I would have said probably not.
I would have pegged you going on to Toronto or maybe back to Welland. I was kind of going. London was an offshoot, but I was like, it's too far of a drive for you. As far as Mississauga to London's a huge commute, and I couldn't see you doing it. So I was like, okay, I kind of ruled out London in my head.
Yeah, and then, I mean, if you listen to the playoff episodes, some of the things that I said regarding Roop should have made. Yeah, Roop
doesn't have a lot of good words about the podcast near the end of the year. I'll tell you that much.
No,
it's like, hey man, I'm not involved in the podcast. I'm just here to talk to you about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's like me and Rube, like, every time we've spoken to each other, it's been fine. Yeah. But yeah, I have my opinions on the way that he handles pitchers, and again, like, I'm always coming from the player's perspective, right? And so for me, it's from that perspective that I look at things, and we're going to disagree on stuff. Yeah. He runs his ship the way he does, and I don't want to play for a guy who runs his ship that way. And
no, so exactly. That's all it is. That's your personal opinion. You know what's best for Chris Lazar as far as that stuff goes. I don't know if I should be calling you Chris or Christian. So I'm just like, as far as that goes, I'm like, okay, it's Christian. I'm like, what?
So like, it's funny. I prefer Christian now.
Yeah.
I was Chris forever, and then I went to college, and my coach just called me Christian all the time, and I didn't have the heart to correct him because I was a freshman in college.
Yeah.
And so then everyone in college started calling me Christian, and then I went into the workforce after college, and they were calling me Christian, and because I'm new there, I don't want to correct them either, and so, like, I'm
all right, so you're forever known as Christian Lazar from now on. Noted.
Yeah.
All right.
I still have to talk to Matt though about changing that on the website.
No worries. I'm pretty sure that happens. And it was great to watch the interview with you and Sam and everything else. Sam's definitely he's an up and coming kid that I hope he sticks with it. I really do because he's got a bright future. He's got a great mind for the game and everything else. But he's just he needs a little boost of confidence himself. But yeah, believe in yourself, Sam. You can do it.
Yeah, no. So going back to your point about like where I was going to play.
Yeah.
Going back to last year, near the end of the year, I had already ruled out Welland only because like I'm coming off an injury. I understand the way that they run their ship there, and I didn't think I was going to get much of an opportunity.
Yep.
And so or like a fair shot at doing that, just because of all the uncertainty. So I was never going to go back there. And then it came down to, honestly, like for me, I thought about Toronto, but I don't want to picture Christy Pitts as my home park.
Yeah, that's just like
a whole lot of fun.
Like pitchers' ERAs are inflated enough in this league. You don't need to go put that one up, and I don't know.
Yeah, and definitely don't go find my Christy Pitts ERA.
No, exactly.
But the other team I was looking at was Kitchener, honestly, because I really liked what they did. Bill Matatich. He coached me in Hamilton as well, and I have a lot of respect for him. They had a good pitching staff there last year. They had a lot of good pieces. But then I found out that there's a lot of uncertainty as to who was going to go back there also. So when it came to that, the team that had the most amount of stability, that has the best chance to win, and quite frankly has, in my opinion, the best roster in the league right now, was Barrie. And so for me, it was a pretty easy decision, especially because the thing they were lacking was pitching depth.
Yep.
And as a pitcher, I know I'm going to go in there and get an opportunity to play. And so, again, they built a championship culture there over the last decade. Yep. They took 2 years off, and then they're back in the finals picture again. So, we're really excited about the team we have, and the guys seem excited to have me, even though I have had to handle some of that average already. So.
You're going to be carrying a lot of equipment bags, I have a feeling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, listen, I've been in the league too long to be carrying equipment bags. Yeah. I'll definitely be hearing. I'll be hearing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
From those guys.
Well, let's take us through the injury, and as far as how everything broke down as far as that year. Were you playing hurt pretty badly into the playoffs with Welland, or did it fall apart after that? As far as the arm,
I was playing hurt the year before.
Oh, jeez.
So it was the year before, 2021 season, and I blame a lot of it on COVID, and I blame a lot of it on the quick ramp up.
Yeah.
So because we got 3 weeks notice before the season. Started.
It's like, oh yeah, we're allowed to play, so here we go.
And the other thing too is we were low on arms because it was such a short turnaround, and it was
no imports, and
a lot of uncertainty.
Yep.
And so, because of that, I knew I had to shoulder a lot of the weight when it came to throwing. And so, my first outing, 7 innings, I felt really good. Second outing, I threw a complete game shutout. Third outing, went another 7 innings. It's funny because if you go back to my 2021 season, you can see almost the exact point when it all fell apart.
You can look at the numbers and you see that, okay, everything was good, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, okay, the bottom just kind of fell out.
I remember doing an interview with Ryan Eakin that season after my third or fourth start of the year, and I had a .39 ERA at that point.
Yep.
And so I was feeling great, and then I go ironically to Barrie, and it didn't feel great in the bullpen, and it didn't feel great warming up, but I was like, I'm just going to power through it. And then I got completely ambushed in the first inning. And I felt like, listen, I already don't have a ton of velo in the first place.
Yep.
But I felt like I had even less that day. And so when you don't throw very hard, you need every mile that you can get on that because, if it gets any slower, it gets a lot easier to hit.
Yeah.
So
especially in this league with all the hitters that just sit on meatballs.
Yeah. And so I had about 2 or 3 starts there that year where in the bullpen it didn't feel good, and then it kind of loosened up as my outing went on. But I didn't have the same command or anything like that. I took a couple weeks off. I came back, pitched okay in Kitchener, pitched okay in the playoffs against Toronto, and then spent the offseason trying to rehab it. never got an MRI because I'm stubborn, and I was like, I'll be fine. I'll be okay.
It'll be fine. If you're fine, it'll figure itself out. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're dragging your arm down like the one side or something.
Yeah, and then I came in last season, or 2 seasons ago, against, I started the season against Barrie, pitched well. I had a couple more starts that were okay. And then I started against London, where I physically could not throw the baseball. Like, I couldn't throw.
Yeah.
And I threw a 1-2-3 first inning without being able to throw a ball.
Ouch.
I don't know. I still don't know how I was able to do that.
I'm going to have to go back and look at the video on that one now.
Yeah, and then in the second inning, I was, like, I walked Robert Mullen on, like, 8 pitches or something.
Yeah.
But I was throwing, like, if I was over 60 miles an hour, I would have been surprised. Like, that's how bad it was. And I was like, yeah, like, enough's enough. I can't do this anymore. And so I took a month off at that point, came back, threw against Toronto, felt good, got traded to Welland. That was my last start in Hamilton. Got traded to Welland, pitched in Kitchener, started in Kitchener, felt okay, and that was the last time I felt okay. And then moved to the bullpen, which I also thought wasn't necessarily the best idea for me. Like, I had a big disagreement with the way that was handled, mainly because, again, I knew that based on where my body was, I needed that regimented warm-up to be able to pitch at all.
Yeah.
And so with being out of the bullpen, it's a lot of up and down. It's a lot of start-stop. And if you're not 100% healthy, it's hard to do that. And so I literally got to a point where I couldn't externally rotate at all. So, yeah, and then I got an MRI, found out it was torn. Still started a playoff game in Toronto, knowing that I had a torn labrum.
Took the loss in that game, but took the L in Toronto no less.
I gave up about 3 homers in 3 innings. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of how that went. I went out and had surgery last year, but I've been throwing, been off the mound a couple times already, and everything feels pretty good. So let's hope it continues.
So what's going to be a key to, I don't know, how are you going to know you're fully back this year, as far as, are you going to be looking at number-wise, just how it feels in your hand as far as motions and everything else goes?
It's a good question. I guess I won't know until I know, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot depending on, a lot of it's obviously going to be results-based. You know, like, if I'm able to get guys out, I'll know that I'm doing okay. But no, it's a lot of feel. It's a lot of, for me, the big thing is going to be the command, right? Like, right now, the thing I'm struggling with isn't necessarily, like, obviously the velo's down just because, like, I'm still ramping up.
Yep.
But for me, it's the command, right? It's when you haven't thrown something, you haven't done something in a year and a half, and you haven't done it healthy in almost 2.5 years. It's hard to find that feel again.
Yep.
And so, for me, it's like, throwing strikes right now, not a problem. Like, I'm able to hit the strike zone consistently.
Yep.
That's not the issue. It's, being fine with it, being able to throw inside to lefties, throw inside to righties.
Yep.
And so it was funny. I was actually throwing indoors last week at one of our practices, and I had Ryan Rio stand in.
Oh, boy.
And no, he didn't swing.
Okay. All right.
I was only throwing fastballs, and I was like, if you know fastball's coming, I'm in trouble. And so please don't swing.
Oh, yeah.
But he was just standing
that thing, he's going to take a one-way trip to Unicorn Land on that thing.
Yeah, and so I was, I just wanted a visual, right? But I was trying to go inside on him, like, throw inside, and I physically couldn't. Like, for whatever reason, I just couldn't do it. Like, I was just leaving it over the plate. And I was starting to get really, really frustrated with myself. And then, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Matt Lowe. It might have been Grievous. Someone was like, dude, like, relax, man. Like, it's your first time off a mound with a hitter in the box in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, stop being so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
But, like, that's kind of just the way I'm wired. Is like, if it's not perfect, I'm not happy with it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I get that way. Even just when the broadcast and everything else, it's just like, yeah, it's a totally different standard. But it's like, hey, I've been my own worst critic as far as something else goes like that. It's just like, okay, yeah. Like, I'm really hard on myself as it is. It's hard not to be.
Yeah. No, it is. And so, like, I have to keep that perspective always. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to, is my velo back to where it was before? Which, again, not very hard, but it has to be hard enough. And so, is that there, and then is the command there? And if those two things are the case, then I should be, that's when I'll know.
Yeah. Now, let's just go back to your pitcher's mindset as far as everything. Let's assume everything's in a good spot. do you have like a notebook in the back of your head? Do you keep notes on certain hitters as far as, okay, what this guy usually hits against me? Do you have that going on in your head when you're going to face something in the box there, or is it something?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a guy I've faced before, I have a pretty good idea of what he's looking to do, what kind of hitter he is, what kind of pitches he wants to hit, especially against me. Because, like, the thing is, I don't like to watch other pitchers or other guys at bats against other pitchers because I feel like I'm such a different kind of pitcher versus all of the other guys in the league. Right?
So you have a different approach as far as this hitter compared to what the guy on the hill's doing or something, or?
Well, yeah, and just like I feel like my mindset's a little bit different, and also just like my repertoire, right? Like, there's not many lefties that can throw 3 to 4 pitches in any count that also don't have a lot of velo, right? Like, like Garces is like the other guy that I would say is like that, but Garces throws 10 miles an hour harder than I do. Yep. So like we're not playing in the same
it's not so
ballpark here, right? So like for other pitchers, they can kind of impose their will, right? Like a guy like Frank Garces can be like, hey, I'm going to throw this because this is better than what you have.
Yep.
Whereas for me, it's less of that. Sometimes I get into that mode, but more of I need to figure out what you want to hit, and I'm going to throw you everything else. And so, like I do read. I read bats. I read body language a lot, and like depending on the guy, like I can pull certain at bats from certain years when it just like clicked in certain spots. Like Rio, actually, I was having a conversation with Rio, and he's like, "How do you remember this?" But I had a 9-pitch at bat against Rio where I froze him on a fastball down the middle. And this was 2021 or 2019, something like that. And it was just like one random at bat in a random game. I couldn't tell you what the score was at the time, but I just remember that at bat. And so like every at bat after that, I was like, okay, like I know the sequence that I took to get there. I'm gonna try to either repeat that or try to find a way to get into that spot at the same time. Salazo, same idea. I knew that there was one at bat without trying to give away too many secrets. There was an at bat a few years ago. Actually, I think it was my second year in the league. It was like 2017, where I struck him out back-to-back at-bats on lefty-lefty changeups, and he wasn't looking for him at all. And so I was like, okay, so I know that if I need to go back to the well, that's what I can go to. And so, like, I'm able to pull at-bats like that out from just, like, random spots in random years. Sean Riley was another guy that, like, I knew – don't throw him outside fastballs. I knew that I could crowd him a little bit. Even though I didn't have the velo, I knew that he crowded the plate. And so
every time as when I was with the Royals and you would face Riley, I was just like, man, Riley's just not going to hit this guy for some reason. It's just Lazar has his number. It's just one of those back in my head. It's just like there's not many guys that Sean Riley would battle against, and I know he's not going to get this guy, but you're one of them. And Gabe Rebus was the other one from Brantford. It was just him and Strucker. For those three guys, every time they came up, it's just like, well, Riley's going to get out. Doesn't matter. I'm going to back in my head going, I can't broadcast that he's going to get out or anything. Got to hope for the best, but he's going to get out somehow.
Well, yeah, we throw below the speed limit. That's the big thing. But Riley's an amazing hitter. But yeah, for me, like, I just knew like kind of what I needed to do to get him out. I will say this though: if you made a mistake, like you have to be perfect against them.
Yeah, you do.
If I made a mistake against them, he's hitting it 400 feet.
Yeah, easily.
And he's done that. You know, like he's probably hit. The thing is, like I probably struck him out like 4 or 5 times, and like I don't know, his batting average is probably lower against me than some other guys, but also he's probably hit more home runs against me than any other hitter in the league. So
I'm going to give you some names here. How would you approach Cleveland Brownlee?
Are you trying to get me to give away all my secrets?
No. I'm just trying to go off things. What would you look for to give with Brownlee?
With Cleveland, I a lot of times I'm kind of just like teasing him with soft stuff away, like just
trying to get him off his hands or anything else.
Yeah, and then I know that I can my approach with Cleveland is I know that I can get one fastball by him. Like I know that I can beat him. That I can beat him once if I set it up properly. And so, like, my goal in my at-bats with Cleveland was how can I set up the fastball to get him to pop up or something like that. And then with the fastball, once I throw that fastball, I know I can go back to the soft stuff. So that's kind of how I went at Cleveland.
So you want to set him up so you can get that fastball past him and get another strike on him, and then just get him to chase something he doesn't want to normally go after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good mindset with him. I find I can definitely, I've watched him enough that I know I could probably, I can't throw it myself, but I could probably tell somebody how to get him out. There's no way I'm striking him out. He's gonna, next time I go to London, he's gonna make me throw batting practice. Somebody's gonna take me over the scoreboard 5 times or some ridiculous thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, any other guys you hate facing in this league? Like, there's guys who just know, okay, I don't know how to get this out of this situation. There's this guy that seems to have your number.
Liam Wilson.
Yep.
I don't like facing Liam. Andy Leader's another one. Leader's a really good hitter.
Yeah, he is.
With Byron, I don't love facing. I like facing Byron, and I hate facing Byron at the same time.
Yeah, Rambo can be tough to people.
Well, so the thing is that, like, with Reichstein, again, like, he's very much a guess hitter. So, like, he's all, like, every time I face him, I know that he's sitting on something. I don't know what it is, though. So it's like, I'm just kind of, it's almost like a game of Russian roulette with him. It's like, you just try to not throw him the bullet that he's looking for.
Yeah.
And if you do, he's going to hit a double or a homer.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're probably going to strike him out. So, yeah, it's just an uncomfortable at bat with him. I'm trying to think of who else. There's a lot of lefties that give me trouble in the league.
Josh Garten, maybe?
But Garten, I don't love facing Garten. Garten's a fun at bat, though, because, like, he's always, like, fooling around and doing some weird stuff in the box and doing a dance or whatever.
Or having a conversation with the catcher and the umpire, maybe if not both at the same time, too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and he's, like, smiling at you on the mound, and it's like, dude, you're like, stop. You know, like, you're going to make you laugh. So, he's another guy that's not the most fun guy in the world to face. Off the top of my head, those are probably the main ones.
Yep. Have you done it against Castaldo?
From back in the day.
Starling, yeah. How you done against Castaldo?
Castaldo I had a lot of success with. Actually, he's the only guy in the league that I've struck out 3 times in a game.
Wow, well, you should definitely clap that one, because that doesn't happen often. He doesn't usually strike out 3 times in a game, but he did it once in Hamilton last year, and I was just like, whoa, this is not the Castaldo we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I got it. Well, the thing is, it was funny. I think 2 of those strikeouts I probably shouldn't have gotten because they were called, and I don't think they were strikes. But hey, we'll take it.
Yep.
That was my first year in the league, and I wasn't very good my first year in the league, which was the ironic part of the fact that he's the only guy I've ever struck out 3 times in a game. So, but no, he's a really good hitter too. With him, the tough part is getting him to swing the bat.
Yeah.
Because like
he'll leave it on his shoulder. He will leave it on his shoulder.
Yeah.
If he's not feeling it, he's not.
Patient.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think I had a lot of success, was because I had no problem attacking the zone.
Yeah.
And like getting ahead of counts, and then he's down 0-1, 0-2, and then it's tough as any hitter to hit in an 0-2 count. So.
We're going to switch gears a little bit. Talk about umpires. If you know a certain umpire is behind the plate, do you adjust your game as far as on the mound goes, or do you stay going the same sort of approach regardless of the back there?
You are trying to get me in trouble.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I was like, no, because I know there's certain umpires, even as a broadcaster. If I know so and so's behind the plate, okay, we're gonna have for 3 hours. If it's another guy, it's like, okay, we're gonna move along pretty quick. Maybe about 2.5 hours, 2:45 or whatever. He's gonna keep things moving along. He's got a good zone. Other guys, it's just like okay. And then there's other umpires, and it's not the fault. Everybody has a bad day or anything, but it's just like sometimes I just can't find their strike zone.
The umpiring in this league is incredibly inconsistent. And I don't think I'm telling any secrets by that.
No, you're not.
Hurting anyone's feelings.
You're not.
But it's very inconsistent. There are some umpires where like you kind of have a feel and you kind of know. Like Rosie's gonna have a fair zone, but he's gonna be tight sometimes.
Yep.
Ben Mercier actually he actually has a pretty good zone. There's a couple guys that I'm not gonna name that I can't stand.
No, don't do that because we don't want to get you in trouble. Don't want to make your life difficult out there.
No, but I have had situations where I'm in the bullpen and I see the guys walking out to the plate and I see who's behind the plate and I just go,
oh crap!
Not today, man. Not today.
Yep. If all days you got to be back there, come on, really?
Yeah, but no, I mean for the most part, like I think I'm like guys also like umpires also know me and they know that I'm going to attack the zone and they know that I'm going to throw strikes and so as an umpire I can also tell you like I did umpire before and I umpired like senior Coba as well. And I can tell you when a guy is throwing strikes, it's much easier to call strikes.
Yeah.
And if there's a guy on the mound that you don't know if he's going to throw strikes, you might have a bit of a hesitant trigger. So I don't think I have necessarily a bad rapport with any umpires in the league. I think they all kind of know that I'm going to attack the zone and they can call strikes. and they can expect to call strikes.
Yep.
Which gives me a bit of a leg up. But yeah, no, I mean, you kind of just play it by ear, right? Like the first inning, I'll figure out whether or not I'm getting an extra inch on the outside or whether I can get a strike on the inside, and I'll kind of adjust my game plan from there.
Now, the umpires give catchers a little more feedback. Hey, tell your guy to throw it out a little bit more. I'll call it out here more, or is that not going on?
Not like that. I will say they like a lot of times I will go up to an umpire after an inning. Like if there's one specific call that I feel like they missed, I'll just go up to them and I'll say, like one of my favorite lines to use is, "Was that out or did you miss it?" Because I just want to know, right? And it's an honest question. It's not. No. I'm not like trying to attack.
No, you're not trying. You're not trying to show them up or anything. You're just asking, hey, where was that? Was it a strike or not? You just want to know if, hey, did you miss it? Or what?
Well, yeah, and like if a guy misses a call, I get it. Like we're humans, and you're gonna miss a call. But there was one situation in Guelph where I was pitching in Guelph. I think it was my last start in 2019, where I pitched against actually Brett Lawson. I think was the starter on the other side, and. I threw, and Terrasano was at the plate, and I threw a 1-2 fastball on the outside corner. It was an absolute like paint job, like it was a great pitch, and it was called a ball. And then the next pitch, he flew out to right field, and me and the umpire just kind of looked at each other, and we like kind of had like a 5-second like stare down.
I think I remember that at bat actually. I remember that one.
We looked at each other, and then he looked at me and he like nodded his head and he like tapped his chest, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was on me. That was on me. Yep.
Yeah.
At least it didn't go over the fence.
And I respect that. And so like that was fine. I've had some funny ones with umpires, like especially when I was coaching at Laurier. There was one situation where I think I'm not going to say the umpire's name, but he called a pitch that like was like very low, like it was like shoe tops.
Yep. And
he called it a strike on our guy. And then after the inning, I came up to him and I said, "Hey," I said, "You know that pitch was low, right?" He's like, "No, like I thought it was there." And I said, "Okay, we're gonna make a deal right now." I said, "If you call that pitch a ball for our guy." Yeah. You have to let me yell at you for as long as I want, and you're not allowed to look at me or throw me out. And he said, "Okay, deal." The first pitch of the next inning, and it was called a ball.
You go out there and just lose it.
I let him absolutely have it. I let him have it. It actually to the point where Scott Valentine, who was the head coach at Laurier, had to tell me to calm down, and he was like, "Chris, that's enough. Like knock it off. Like stop yelling at him." And I was like, "No, he told me I could yell at him. I'm going to yell at him because he told me I could yell at him."
Dale LaGrosse says,
to his credit, he came over to me a couple innings later, and he's like, "Hey, I just want you to know that, like, you were right, man. Like, I couldn't call that a strike because it just wasn't even close." Yeah. He's like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
I was like, "It's all
no,
good,
exactly.
Yeah, I've been tossed twice in the IBL. Once was Ben Mercier, which me and him joke about it all the time now because I got tossed because I wanted to get tossed, not because he did anything wrong. I was mad.
No, sometimes the managers will go out there and just like Dino was notorious back in the day to do that. He would just go out there. You're gonna have to toss me now. I got to get a rise out of this guy, out of this bench. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then sometimes he'll throw a chair.
And then the chair dies and everything else, and we wind up with a meme.
Exactly. So, no, it's. I mean, again, like I said, it's not personal, but it's some of those interactions are pretty funny. That's some of the stuff I'm looking forward to getting back into this year is some of those like the cat and mouse game and the interaction with the umpires and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, if you hear somebody yelling at if you don't like what's going on, then play better if you know what happened, as far as that goes.
Yeah, no, exactly. So.
No, exactly. So let's take you through, your internship and everything else. You worked it out with the Mississauga Steelheads into a full-time position now. So what is your role now, as far as with the Steelheads?
My title is coordinator of community development. So essentially, I'm responsible for looking after season ticket holders, trying to get new people in the door. In the summer, like a big focus is going to be trying to get corporate season ticket holders. The team's moving to Brampton, so it's going to be a big undertaking with that. And then like off ice community events, so charity golf tournament, Canada Day parade, like things like that. Yeah. All stuff that I'm kind of organizing.
Awesome. So you're going to find it's going to be an interesting summer to try to find balance as well, just as far as the baseball stuff and the career stuff going on. And hopefully you can pull it off, and hopefully things work out for you pretty well on the mound, not too well, because gotta keep you humble. Gotta keep you humble.
Yeah. No, you're listen, you're not wrong. No, I mean, like that is one of the things that I'm thankful for with this job is the fact that I work for a hockey team and it's the off season in the summer. So I'll be able to focus on baseball just as much. And so, if I got to get out of there an hour or two early so I can fly up to Barrie, that'll work out. I'm just hoping the playoffs don't go too deep into September because our season will start in September, and so
usually training camps like usually Labor Day weekend or the weekend after. So
exactly. So hopefully we're able to get the finals done, man. I miss when the finals were in August. Those were the days.
Yeah, well, those were the days when that was before a 42-game season and everything else. But it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give you my opinion on the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
it's all right.
I'm sure we're on the same page.
We'll save that for another day when we're not got cameras in front of our face.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Christian, thank you so much for doing this, my friend. I hope you have all the best of luck this year. Hope the arm heals up nicely. Looking forward to seeing you on the hill once again as a member of the Barrie Baycats.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a little bit different wearing that uniform, but I'm excited about it. Again, like I said, we're going ring chasing, so. It's
ring season.
It's ring season. It's overdue ring season. It's my 7th year in the league. It's time to get one. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, take care, sir. We'll talk again soon.